Hello SA Tech Texas. My name is Becca Obergefell. I am the Assistant Director for the Center for Student Involvement at Ohio Dominican University in Columbus, Ohio. You can also find me on Twitter at Oberbecca. Technology is cool. Social media is trendy, and all the kids are doing it, right? Right. But you wouldn't be here if technology was just cool or interesting. It has to be valuable to you and to your work, too. Social media can be one of the greatest tools we have for community building and for idea sharing if we learn to use it. And I experienced this personal feeling of community through social media the night of the Boston Marathon bombings. As the events unfolded, I opened Twitter to find real-time news. What I found instead was anger, sadness, fear, sympathy, and pain. Technology is no substitute for face-to-face human connection, but when I sat at home alone that night in disbelief of what I saw on TV, I needed to be surrounded by other people processing the events too. As I read through the posts, I started seeing the tweets from people who felt helpless, surrounded by the tragedy and scared by the uncertainty of it all. Someone said it first, and then others started to echo the sentiment, "I want to run for Boston," for all the runners who didn't get to finish their race, and for those who may never get to race again. People were craving community and healing, and I decided I wanted to be a part of that process. So I used a Google form template and created a Run for Boston document that anyone could submit their information to, kind of a basic website. The form asked how many miles you ran, your name, why you ran for Boston, and where you logged your miles. I published the form and shared it with friends, family, and colleagues on Facebook and on Twitter. Then I waited. Within the hour, though, I realized that I had struck a nerve. People started submitting their runs that night. Others saw the idea and said they'd lace up tomorrow and log a few miles too. Most importantly, though, they shared the idea and they shared their stories. That's the most powerful part of social media for me, the connections we make through storytelling. The Run for Boston movement was picked up by CNN, The Today Show, and The Huffington Post, and I still geek out about this, that my late night tweets in a Google Doc could have this kind of an impact. And now a month later, the form is still active. Over 4,400 runners from around the world have logged miles, and now the distance totals upwards of 22,000 miles. The Run for Boston stories are shared publicly so other runners and visitors can read them, with the hope that there is healing in sharing this experience together. Some people had been at the marathon cheering on family and friends, and others realized, if I were there, I would have been finishing at that time, and that would have been my family. Others had run Boston in the past, while many still had dreams of qualifying someday. What amazed me was that these runners weren't just my friends and family, Boston natives or marathon runners. These were compassionate people who needed to be a part of something bigger than themselves to heal. So, how does this relate to women in technology? Well, aside from the fact that I'm a woman who used technology, my husband and I were out to dinner with friends a few weeks ago, and one of our friends asked if the Google form had been John's idea. And I know he meant no harm in asking me that. After all, John is the engineer in the family. But there were some underlying assumptions in his question. Social media is hot right now, but it's just a tool. The real power is in how we use it. If I hadn't had the confidence to act on my idea, all the technology in the world wouldn't have made a difference. Maybe someone else would have come up with the idea, or maybe it would have been just another flicker of inspiration without action. But how many times have you had a good idea and didn't act on it? There's power in going for it and having a core instinct and the confidence to translate that idea into action. So if today's unconference format is going to work, you're going to have to challenge yourself to go beyond observing. When you see an opportunity, share what you know. I'm not saying to boast, but to be honest and to share your experiences. Maybe you don't know the first thing about social media, but you know plenty about risk management or assessment. Find places to contribute your knowledge and know that it has value for others in the room with you. And if there's one thing that you learned from me today, let it be this. Don't start your sentences with, "I don't know if this will work or be helpful," or "This is probably a stupid question, but..." This can be a tough habit to break, but it's an important one to practice. And women, you'll be surprised how often we do this. Your voice matters in this conversation, and when you start like this, you discredit yourself before you've even had the chance to make your point. Let your guard down a little bit today and be open to engaging in inspiration and the knowledge that fills this space. Too often we can be competitive in our work, especially women, But if we are going to make any kind of change happen, we're going to need to do it together. Take a look around the room and notice who is here. Notice who isn't. There are a lot of people who aren't here today because their bosses at institutions didn't invest the resources and believe in them like yours did. Own this opportunity and the privilege. Give yourself the permission to be inspired and to inspire. I look forward to learning with you today. I'm thankful to have been a small part of the incredible day that's planned for you. Thank you.